Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to this week's Evergreen Marketing Live show. I'm your host, Brady, and I got our friend Mallory with us today. What's going on, Mallory?
Not much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we're talking about how to get laser focused on your SEO today. We've got some really cool new features that have come out. We're going to break them down for you and show you how to get focused on your SEO, what to track, how to go all in on the content that matters. But real quick, quick icebreaker, Mallory. What's the weirdest or best thing you've used ChatGPT for?
I'll give you the nerdiest thing, which is
Yes.
stuff for Dungeons and Dragons characters.
Coming up with them?
Yeah, trying to, like, when I was coming up with a new character, coming up with names. I have a gnome paladin. I built it as a dexterity character. We don't need to go into all of this. We need to talk about SEO, don't we?
Nice. I like that. I like that. I think one of the best use cases for me, I was just doing this week, was like comparing different products. So like comparing like, okay, I need a lens for this camera, instead of like trying to go through Google and find search this one model, be like, okay, ChatGPT, give me a list of cameras with this specific feature that does this thing, and it'll just make the recommendation for you. So like research has gotten like crazy fast.
Yeah. I did use it when researching cars. That's true.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, sweet. All right. Well, everybody, we're talking about SEO today. If you got any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll answer them in just a little bit in the coaching call portion. But otherwise, let's kick off the podcast. Let's do it. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to this week's Evergreen Marketing Live. Trying to figure out what is going to move the needle on your SEO can be muddy. It can be confusing. Thankfully, there's an easy way to do it. So this week, we're going to share some brand new tools that we just released. We're super pumped about, and show you how to track your progress, find and create more of the content that moves the needle, and how to get laser focused on your SEO. So again, I'm your host, Brady. Got my friend Mallory with me, and yeah, let's kick it off. Let's talk about these new features that just came out. Let me share my screen and pull it up real quick here. Give me one sec. Actually, Mallory, I just realized I need to swap out. I need to take care of a link real quick. Do you mind talking about these new features and giving the rundown real quick?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
thanks.
we have some new features, and some of these are for our SEO tools subscribers, and then some of these are for everybody. So we have our new search performance feature, which is for all Carrot members. So what this does is it pulls in Google Search Console data right into your Carrot dashboard. So a lot of our members have already been using Google Search Console. And what this does is it pulls in some of the most important stuff that you want to keep looking at on maybe a monthly or quarterly basis. And you don't have to go out to a separate platform. It just pulls it in there right for you. We also have our new site audit feature. This is one of the ones that is for SEO tools members. So what this does is it will give you an audit of all of the technical stuff, all of the kind of behind the scenes stuff that could affect user experience, that could affect SEO potentially. And it gives you suggestions about how to fix those things based on what warnings or potential issues it might find. We've also, with our keyword rank tracker, that's one of their tools for our SEO tool subscribers. We've added even more keywords that you can track. So we've bumped an additional, I think, 100 extra keywords for all of our members who have that tool. So you can track even more keywords every single month and see how they are doing in the Google search results. And then our domain overview tool, we have also made available for all subscribers. So every Carrot member now has access to that. And what the domain overview tool does is it helps you track your off-page SEO efforts. So things like how many backlinks you have, and kind of, how those are helping you with getting your website found in Google search.
Nice. That's a lot. And I'm pumped about it, because not only usually it's like we'll release a new feature, you get it if you're already paying for it, but we added a bunch of stuff in just to the baseline for all Carrot members. So
For everybody.
Yeah, so we'll share it in just a minute here. We're going to go through what I want to do is kind of break down three pretty common questions that we get around like tracking SEO performance. We'll do that. And then once we go into the coaching call portion, we'll do some screen sharing, answer some questions. But Mallory, one of the most common questions we get is how often should I be looking at my rankings or how often should I be tracking my SEO progress? What's your take on this?
Yeah. So with SEO specifically, I always like to take a longer point of view. I think of SEO as a marathon, not a sprint. So this is going to be different than if you are running paid ad campaigns. With stuff like paid ads, you probably want to be tracking more regularly, even on a daily or weekly basis. But with search engine optimization efforts and trying to get found in the organic or non-paid Google search results, you really want to take a broader approach. So I suggest tracking and looking at things on either a monthly or a quarterly basis. And with our built-in tools, things like our analytics dashboard and our search performance report that pulls in from Google Search Console, they both have the ability to you can look at a weekly or the last 7 days, but I suggest looking at the last month or the last 90 days and really focusing on that longer term perspective. Because especially as we've seen in the last few weeks, there was a Google algorithm update that rolled out in August. And anytime those happen, which is about twice a year, there often is a lot of volatility. Things are shifting around in the search results.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's just better things that you can be doing for your business overall on a daily or weekly basis. So I encourage you to not get too bogged down in looking at it every single day as if it's the stock market, and just focus on it as a monthly or quarterly thing.
That's good. Yeah, especially after a Google algorithm update, because it's easy to see your rankings drop and then panic, like, oh my gosh, what do I got to do? So, yeah, just wait for it to finish rolling out and things to calm down and settle. Wait for the dust to settle. I think in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be doing an episode on what to do when when your rankings drop. So, like how to troubleshoot them, how to look at your website. So, yeah, it'll be a good one. A little bit of overlap, but that's going to be a good episode. The next thing I want to tackle is what are the KPIs for SEO? We know these for paid ads. A lot of investors have KPIs for their business, but what are the key metrics for SEO?
Yeah, well, I want to first, it's always important to think about what are your overall business goals, your overall business KPIs, right? Because they're going to be slightly different depending on your market and your own goals. Every business is a little bit different. When it comes to SEO, it also is going to depend on the stage of where you're at with your website and your business overall. So if you have a brand new website or brand new business, one of the first things that you're going to want to focus on is kind of getting all your ducks in a row, making sure everything is set up on your website properly. You've got all of your content made unique to you. You've got all of the on-page SEO stuff kind of dialed in exactly like you want it. And then that's really focusing on the traffic, and making sure that traffic is coming to the pages that you want people to, so that ultimately that traffic will convert into leads for your business. Because usually the leads and the revenue is one of the main KPIs for any business,
Yeah.
right? But then after you've got that traffic, if you have a more established website, you may want to start focusing not only on traffic, but making sure that you are converting that traffic. So things like conversion rates and engagement time, kind of how people are interacting with the pages and the information on your website, and making sure that that is driving them to take action and become a lead.
Yeah, like what's the time on page look like? Which things like that can vary so much based on like where the traffic is coming from, and it varies from a contact us page is going to be different from the homepage versus a blog, and so you can't really lump it all in together. But yeah, time on page is a key one because Google's looking at that too. Like how long are people spending on your pages? How often are they clicking through to the website? Because those are their indicators of is this quality content?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we saw that confirmed with the Google leak that happened earlier this summer in May. There was a lot of leaked documentation about the Google algorithm. And one of the things that a lot of SEOs had thought for a long time, but we really saw it confirmed, is that Google uses Chrome data, right? They created this amazing browser that we've been using for more than a decade now, right? And they're using the information in that to help them understand how people are interacting with websites once they've clicked through from the search results. So Google doesn't want people to just pop onto a website and pop right back to the search results, because they'll get frustrated and start using Bing or Yahoo or some other search engine.
Right. And Google also is running, people run Google ads on their website. So they want people to hang on a website so you can click on their people's ads and so Google can generate more revenue. They're going to do what's in their best interest usually. A third thing, and I'll throw one more in here, but how can you tell what content to invest in? Like, actually, that was the one I was going to throw in. So, yeah, that is the one. How do you tell like what content is moving the needle at a high level? I know we'll dive into this once we look at the tool, but what content is working?
Yeah. So I like to look at kind of two categories. And one is, what is working, and then what's not working. So if I'm looking at whether it's like an analytics dashboard or looking into the search performance with the information from Google Search Console, kind of looking at a high level, like what is working. So if it's landing pages, what are the top pages that people are coming to my site from the search results? Where's the first pages they're landing when they hit my website, right? And are those pages the pages I want them to be landing on first, right? How are they interacting with those pages? Are they spending time on that page and reading? And then what is the conversion rate? Are they filling out a form and becoming a lead from those pages, right? And if they're not, if that content is not seeming to, convert somebody to a lead, how can we then improve it and make it better? And this is really thinking about the actual humans on the other end of things, right? Making sure that there's all the information that they need, making sure it is really clear calls to action to get them to fill out a form, making sure that you are conveying trustworthiness and credibility and all of the stuff that we talk about all the time when it comes to, SEO and building a good website. But it's really dialing in on what is working already and how can you continue to tweak and improve that stuff and perhaps send more traffic to the top performing pages, maybe from other channels even, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if you have a page that's working really well in organic search, maybe that's a page you also then want to send paid traffic to, or vice versa, right? Try to
Yeah.
improve it. And if it's working in one channel, maybe it's going to work really well in another channel too.
Yeah. Yeah, if something's getting really high time on page or really good engagement, that's something you might want to, put into a paid ad.
Potentially.
So that makes sense. Would you take the same approach when you're doing keyword research, finding out like what keywords to create new content for?
Yeah. So with keyword research, we look at things like search volume, like how many people in the US, for example, are on average searching for that keyword phrase per month. That's volume.
Yeah.
We also look at difficulty. So usually on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being the hardest, the highest difficulty, how much competition is there for that keyword phrase? So ideally, you want to kind of find a sweet spot of a decent enough search volume and not too hard to compete against. But you also want to make sure that whatever search phrases you're trying to rank a page for, whatever content you're creating, also aligns with your overall business goals.
Yeah.
So one thing that can sometimes be sort of a rookie mistake is you start to think about these tangential ideas that like maybe you're kind of related to what you do, but not quite. And that can sometimes create confusion for Google and actual people. So for example, if you have a real estate business, you might think, okay, I could do a lot of interior design blog posts. And those blog posts about interior design might end up bringing traffic to your website. But if that traffic isn't, if they're just looking for home decor ideas and they're not really in the state of mind, they don't have the search intent of selling a house or buying a house or, doing a real estate transaction, they would rather, if they're going to work with a business, they would rather hire an interior designer.
Yeah.
Then does that interior design blog post really make sense to have it on your website, even if it's bringing in traffic? If it's not the right kind of traffic, it's not really aligning with your bottom of line business goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say the only exception to that might be, and it still needs to be aligned with your content, but doing content for backlinks, like creating juicy content that could get linked out to from other websites. So,
I mean, yeah, potentially. I would still say try to make it align with the overall business goals and the topic or the specific focus of your business as much as possible. Because
right.
the other thing with backlinks is that one of the things we also saw with this Google leak that happened in May is that we really want those links to send traffic to us, right? Like that's one piece of having a quality backlink is that people who've linked out to us from another website when other, people are visiting that other page, they're actually clicking through and visiting our website. It's not just a road to nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a road that's actually bringing people from that website to our website.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, because most people are just, maybe not most, but a lot of people just focus on, did I get the link? Did I get the link somewhere? But yeah, the whole intention is that it should be driving traffic back to your website.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that sends a relevance, that sends a quality signal to Google.
Sweet. Last thing I want to cover, we'll cover this at like a, high level SEO 101. Since the title is how to get laser focused on your SEO efforts, I want to fulfill on that. What are the first priorities after you launch a Carrot site that you should be paying attention to for SEO? What are the first things you optimize, start ranking for before you start doing a bunch of other content creation?
Well, so when you launch a Carrot website, all of our templates come sort of preloaded with certain content that is optimized around certain keyword phrases, depending on whatever site type or topic you've kind of picked that site type around. And you want to make sure to make that personalized and unique to your business. So you want to make sure that you're adding your own expertise, your own experiences, making sure that you've changed things to be unique to you. So that's number one. And I would say go through all of the major pages, starting with the homepage, and then kind of drilling through the most important other credibility pages like your about page, if you have the how it works page, things like that, making sure that they're really adjusted and customized to fit your business and to differentiate yourself from your other competitors, right? Especially if you're in a competitive market like Dallas, for example, where there might be a lot of other people using Carrot sites doing business similar to you. You want to make sure your website is different and has different content that is unique to your business. So that's number one.
That's good.
Yeah. And then I would say building out your specific location pages, you can use the auto location tool to do that. That will basically use your homepage information to go off of. So that's one of the reasons why it's really important to make sure your homepage is really dialed in to be specific and unique for your business first. Once you've got all of your kind of location pages done, then you can dig into building your content authority through blog post and niche topic pages. So, we have our automated content library, but we also have a tool, which is our niche authority builder tool. And I really, really love the niche authority builder tool, because what it does is it focuses on this idea of topic clusters with supporting blog posts. So you can pick a specific niche topic page that's kind of goes deep into one topic, creates that authority around that one topic, and it has related supporting posts that kind of go into other aspects of that topic. And the power of this is that it has internal linking between all of those pages built in. It does this automatically for you. You can also do this blog content strategy manually. It just takes a little bit more work. But either way, whether you build it out manually or use the niche authority builder, creating that topical authority through content on your blog and in your website pages so that you get found for the specific things that you want to be known for by your clients or customers, right? So if that's real estate, maybe you specialize in helping people who are going through a divorce, right? Maybe that's the kind of content that you're focusing on through the niche authority builder, through blog content, things like that. If you have a heating and air conditioning business, maybe you live in a certain area. Like I live in the South in New Orleans. So we don't have a lot of the heaters. I mean, certain times of year, but it's really about the AC. You want to stay cool and you want to make sure that it's energy efficient, right? So maybe you specialize in energy efficient air conditioners and that's what you want to be known for. So that's what you want to double down on in creating that content.
Nice. I like that. Thanks for laying out kind of the roadmap. I think it's really overwhelming when people jump into Carrot, or even if they're not Carrot members, it's like, what the heck do I need to focus on first? So like optimize the basics, localize your site, personalize it, make it unique to your brand, get the homepage dialed in, then move on to the other things.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then once you've got all that on-page stuff, you want to also, like we were talking a little bit about backlinks, all of that is off-page SEO.
Yeah. So all the on-page comes before the off-page.
Yeah. Well, and then after you kind of get the basics of the on-page, then you can start building the off-page and then kind of do them in tandem, keep working on both with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super key. You don't want to start building backlinks if you haven't dialed in your site yet. Yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, that's a wrap for the podcast portion. We're going to hop over to the coaching call now. So if you're listening to this after the fact, join us live in the podcast, or excuse me, join us live in the Facebook group every week, community.carrot.com. We do a live Q&A, live coaching call, and we show you how to use our tools, show you how to get this stuff done. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Cool. All right, here we go. Again, if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. Any questions related to SEO, let us know. Mallory and myself will tackle them. But let me get my screen pulled up here, and we're going to share three things. We're going to show you the search performance tool, how to get kind of the insights you need on your Carrot account. Then we're going to go over the site audit tool, how to find any issues or errors that might be on your site and how to fix them. And then the domain overview tool, which is available to all Carrot members now. So let's see here. Okay. All right, here we go. And we've got our friend Bo Hollis' site pulled up here because he's doing well. We didn't want to use a test account for this. That didn't have a lot to show. So yeah, walk me through some of the things that you would find useful on this, Mallory. How are you? What kind of insights are you looking for in search performance?
Yeah, so this search performance tool, just for anybody who's jumping in right now, this is what our new tool, this is pulling in Google Search Console data. So we've hooked this up to Google Search Console, and it's kind of pulling in the most important data that I would really look at if I was going to go directly to Google Search Console anyway. So you've got total clicks, and this is all information for what your appearance is in Google search results, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we've had the frequently asked question of why is some of the information in my analytics dashboard different than some of what I'm seeing in Google Search Console or in search performance. Analytics can be pulling in traffic that could be coming from other sources other than just Google search, right? This is just Google search, right? So no Bing, no Yahoo, no, Facebook
DuckDuckGo or
right. So what this is showing you is total clicks and then total impressions. So total impressions. So we have 182,000 impressions in the last 90 days. And you can select this at that top right by 7 days, 30 days, or 90 days. So the total impressions is within that time period. Okay, so we've drilled it down to 30 days. We have 68,000 impressions, which is amazing. So in the last month, this website has appeared in the search results 68,000 times, right? It's been shown somewhere in the search results page for queries or search phrases that people have typed in or asked Google. Out of all those times, the total clicks on the far left is how many times people have then clicked through to this website, right? And so the click-through rate, the third one over there, the 0.019, this is the average across all of the website, across all of the times that it's been shown, that basically that ratio between impressions and clicks. And when we go further down, you can actually see the click-through rate for different queries and things too.
That's one of my favorite things. I want to see click-through rate per page.
Yeah. So this section, this queries and pages where you can actually see the clicks and impressions and click-through rate and average position of these different things that you're appearing in the search results when people search these. This is the super magical thing, in my opinion. So one of the things that I love about this, so this is Bo's site, Simply Sold. I actually love that 2 of his top search queries are brand. Right. So this means that, and you told me that there's actually another company other than him.
There's a Simply Sold investor in Florida that I've noticed they've started working on their SEO. So him and Bo are competing for rankings. It used to be that guy wasn't showing up at all. So maybe he heard our podcast and was like, crap, I should probably start ranking for my brand name.
Yeah. So it's really important, especially if you think about long-term holistic marketing strategy outside of just SEO. SEO is one piece of that, right? But if we think about all of the different ways that we could potentially make people aware of ourselves, right? I love that through SEO, what I'm seeing here, whereas people are searching for a brand name, means that they have brand awareness, means that you're doing all the right things in all of the different places, right? Like, I don't know what his entire marketing strategy looks like, but I can see from here that he has a marketing strategy beyond just getting found for unbranded search phrases. So an unbranded search phrase would be like, sell my house fast, right? Or we buy houses in Louisville, Kentucky. Look, he's even Bo Hollis. People are even searching for him by name. Yeah. And one of the things that you can see too is that if we look at Simply Sold, and Bo Hollis, look at the click-through rates for those branded search compared to the unbranded search, right? We have very, very high click-through rates because people are already in the what we call like the buyer journey or the customer
Yeah.
journey. They are already at a point where they know about you. They are looking for you directly, and they are much more likely to be ready to do business with you. Those people are going to convert. They're not only going to click through, they're often going to, convert into a lead, convert into a client, convert into a sale.
Yeah. They're
Right?
doing their research. Yeah. At this
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah. And so then other information that I would gain here. So for some of the search, the top queries that are showing up where you have a lot of impressions. So like sell my house fast, the third one down on that list, right? We have 1,400 search impressions for the last, I think this was like set to 30 days, right? Which is you're showing up a lot, but you've only had 3 clicks. So here I can see you've got a low click-through rate, but part of it, if you look at the position, you have position 41. So you're nowhere near the first page. But let's look at Sell My House Fast Louisville. If you go
Yeah.
kind of
Which
further down, yeah.
sell my house fast is a national, super competitive term too.
Yeah, Sell My House, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But Sell My House Fast Louisville is much more specific. We're only showing up 350 times in the search results, right? But you're at position 2.8. So if somebody is very, specifically looking to sell their house fast in Louisville, you're coming up in the top 3 search results on average, which is great, right? But
Yeah.
the click-through rate could potentially still have room for improvement, because if you could bump that click-through rate up from an average of 0.057 to like a 1% click-through rate. And so, yeah, exactly. So what we would do here is I would say, like, look at then what's your average competition, right? So you're showing up at the top, like, what does the search results look like? You had some other like local pack stuff at the top. Um, who is showing up in the this
Uh,
Google My Business? That's a different company, right? Priority
this
Home
is
Buyers
Priority Home Bar. Yeah, this is a
over there.
different company, and these are ads. These are Google ads right
Right.
here. But
So, I have no idea if PPC ads is in what Bo is doing or wants to do. That could potentially be, that's a lot of times what people will run branded searches for their own brand name to kind of capture, to make sure nobody else is like running ads against them for their own name. That's sometimes why you might see
yeah,
that, right? There's also things that if we look at the search results here, so you're coming up as number 2, Bo's coming up as number 2 right here. Look at what else is there and what could you potentially do to stand out or increase the click-through rate here. And one of the main ways that we can try to influence this is through our page titles and our meta descriptions. So our page titles and meta descriptions can be edited on the back end of any of your pages. If you have the SEO tool, if you scroll to the very, very bottom, there's an area where you can edit your page title and meta description. Now, that is guidance to Google. It's not a guarantee that Google will accept that guidance that you've given with your page title and meta description, because they're going to do whatever they're going to do. And they have a lot of different places they might pull that meta description and page title from that appears as the snippet in the search
yeah,
results. But especially even the content on like that first paragraph of that page is another place that they might also look in addition to the meta description. So yeah, we were looking at this before we hopped on the live, and one thing I noticed was that second paragraph, our fastest close was 48 hours from meeting the seller, which is such an amazing talking point, right? Like that's such
yeah,
an amazing hook. That's, if I was trying to sell my house fast in Louisville, that's exactly the thing. Like, yeah, I want to sell my house real fast, like 48 hours fast, like give me the money, right? But if I'm looking in the search results, that's not there. And so that could be something to test. So SEO is really about a lot of testing. It's, hypothesis testing. So one of the things is, if you're making any of these adjustments, like if you're going to decide that, okay, I'm going to try to change my page title and my meta description to see if Google will pick it up and change what they're showing in the search results snippet, I would try to track it in some way. So maybe with a simple Excel spreadsheet or a Google Docs spreadsheet. As long as I've worked in digital marketing agencies in any of
yeah,
my other prior roles, like that's kind of the simple way that we do it, is just create a spreadsheet and just say, hey, on this date, I changed this one thing from this to this. And then I'm going to wait a month and see if that's changed anything in terms of like my traffic, in terms of my click-through rate, all that good stuff.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, I can imagine this getting better click through rate if you had something like sell your house fast in 48 hours or even 7 days, because nobody else is putting a quantifiable timeline. So if it said sell your Louisville house in 7 days or less, and then it
Yeah.
wouldn't be getting cut off either. Which I don't know. For me, I mean, I feel like a study would probably back this up. I feel like most people are more likely to click on something that's not cut off because you can read the whole thing and digest it. It's like, okay, that's what that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's tricky because Google more and more is just pulling
Yeah.
whatever they're going to pull. They don't always
Hmm.
follow what you put in your meta description. But if you can give them a really good, useful, accurate meta description that really summarizes what is on that page, they will sometimes use that. And so that's one of the ways that you can help influence if that's going to be cut off or not.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I also think it's interesting. This is totally off topic, but Google just, I think I saw this started popping up a few weeks ago. Ads for agents for the term "sell my house fast." These didn't used to come up before, but a lot of realtor ads now. But kind of
Yeah, and I would
interesting.
say that could be helpful too, is like as you're on your like once a month or once a quarter kind of checking on all of your, your search performance metrics, your analytics, pop into the, actual search results, do an incognito, private
Yeah.
window and look and see what is actually showing up. How has that changed? Because those things are going to change constantly over time. Google's always going to be testing different things. And also, what shows up for you when you search might still be different than what shows up for one of your potential leads or visitors.
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. And it's too easy to get caught up in like just creating the content and optimizing it, but seeing how it looks from with fresh eyeballs from a leads perspective is massive because you got to know what you're showing up against.
Yep.
Cool. Let's look at the site audit tool. Okay, so we've got a test account here, AmericanHouseBuyers.com. Yeah, kind of what are some of the most common errors and things that would pop up on here?
Yeah. So this site audit tool is basically doing a technical analysis of a lot of different, behind the scenes factors
Yeah,
mostly. And a lot of what this is going to be showing is going to be a lot of simple on page SEO type stuff. So if we look on this list, it says the second thing is 2 pages don't have a unique title, 2 pages don't have a unique meta description. So that's what we were just talking about when we were looking at the search results on for Bo's site. So within each page, on the back end or blog post on the back end of your Carrot site, you can edit what your page title and your meta description is to try to influence what gets shown in those search results, like we were just looking at. And so a page title is a title. It just summarizes what that page is about. And every single page on your website should be about something different. You shouldn't have 2 pages about the same thing, right? So each page title needs to be relevant to that specific page and what that page is about. And same thing with the meta description. I like to describe the meta description as an elevator pitch for your page. Like in one sentence, you got to give that elevator pitch. You're stuck in an elevator. You got to tell people what that page is about very quickly in one
yeah,
sentence. That's what you're doing with the meta description.
yeah. Nice. This is not pulling up all the way. I think it's because I'm on the test account right now. But what would happen is you click into here and it'll give you like a little brief description of what it is and then a little green box about how to fix it. So, yeah, pretty simple. It's nice to be able to
Yeah.
see the technical thing and just exactly what you need to do.
Yeah. So all of these, when you click into the main site audit, you click on any of those blue, those are links. So that will pop in, give you more information about whatever issue it is, a blurb about how to fix it. Usually there's going to link out to either one of our help center tutorials or kind of more information to give you more info about how to fix it.
Yeah.
And then for things like where under warnings it says 19 pages have a too long title, it'll list those 19 pages where it's found that on, so you can kind of go through and prioritize what you want to tweak and fix.
Nice. What would you say to okay, so we had a Facebook member come through, or we had a care member come through the Facebook group this week and see a bunch of errors. And I know it can be kind of alarming and make you panic if you see a bunch of stuff. What do you say to that?
So a lot of this
Besides,
is,
don't panic.
yeah, don't panic, don't panic. So a lot of these are guidances for ways to improve. And some of these are more about improving the user's experience once they've landed on your site. Some of these are more SEO specific. Some of these are going to be things like you might get a warning if you've put a ton of pictures on some page and like 10,000 words of text and 200 pictures or something like that. If you've made that kind of page, you're probably going to be getting a warning in here because the page is going to be giant. It's going to be full of images. It's probably going to take longer to load because of all of that content and images that you put on it,
Yeah.
right? If you get those kind of messages, so we've organized this on purpose. So there's errors, there's warnings, and there's notices.
Yeah.
Look at it from top to bottom. If there's errors, I would say, look at those first. Look at the guidance that it gives you about how to fix. And also, do these things seem like they're going to really move the needle for my business? Is it worth my time and effort? I would say too, like, this tool is very similar to something that people who work in SEO agencies, they're going to do this kind of stuff anytime they get a new client, right? They're going to pull something very, very similar to this to get just like kind of an overview of what are the possible improvements that we can make to our site, right? So I would look from top to bottom, focus on the errors first. The notices, some of those are maybe not going to be as big of a deal. That's why we've put those at the bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of like go through what you can. This is part of our SEO tools package for members with that add-on, the SEO tools add-on. But if you're feeling like overwhelmed by this, focus on the pieces of it that are the on-page SEO that are content related, right?
Yeah.
If some of this stuff feels like super overwhelming, I would say look at like, okay, to update a title, to update a meta description, to update the content on your page, that is stuff that most people could make those adjustments to just the pure text, right? The information,
Right.
but they focus on those things first.
Yeah. And it's quick and easy. They're easy
Yeah.
ones to tackle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Got a couple questions. Let's do a couple questions and then we'll take a look at the domain overview. So, I got one from Tony. Tony, what's up, man? He's going through the 3 lead per day training, and which Tony just finished the 30-day challenge. Now he's going to 3 lead per day. He said, caused me to go back and fix some things on my previous blog posts. Is this okay to do, or does it not matter or even hurt me? So, and then I'm just going to read this and we'll make sense of it. The second part is, how do you know when the best use of your time is to continue to tweak your sites or spend time adding new content to my site? I've cleaned up all of my errors. Is it worth my time to resolve the warnings and notices too? Okay, so 3 separate ones. Let's go back to the first one.
Yeah. And
yeah.
they're all kind of related because they're all about, it's like, how do you prioritize things when it comes to making updates or making new content for your site?
Yeah, usually that first one on blog posts it's usually people are asking in the context of like, is this going to hurt a ranking if this blog post is ranking, or if it's getting traction, man, am I going to go backwards by editing it?
So, I'm a big fan of, like, I think I mentioned already when we were looking at our, Google search performance, or looking at our analytics even, to improve what's working, as long as you're not making changes where you're removing all of the keywords that if the blog post is about a specific topic and it's ranking for specific keywords, don't change it in a way that's going to change the meaning of that blog post. Don't change it in a way that's going to remove those keywords, right? If it's already working for that thing, don't change those aspects. If you see opportunities to improve that blog post, to add information that you think is missing, to add a personal story or a case study that could potentially improve conversions for people who land on that blog post, to, take them from just reading the blog post to filling out a form and becoming a lead, I think all of that stuff is great. One thing to pay attention to anytime that you're making edits or adjustments to a page or a blog post is if you've updated the URL slug in any way. If you change that URL, especially if it's a page or post that's already getting traffic, if you edit it on purpose, you just want to make sure that whatever the old URL gets a 301 redirect set up so that people who might have that old URL bookmarked, or if you have links to that old URL, or if Google has indexed that old URL, it can find the new version of the URL. So that sounds really complicated. If you go to our help center and search 301 redirect, there's a tutorial all about it. Basically, a 301 redirect is just like if you move homes and you have to fill out that form to get the UPS, the mail service to forward your mail to the new
Yeah.
house. A
Yeah.
301 redirect is just like that for a website page. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. It can sound daunting. That's all it is. You're redirecting it.
Yeah. Yeah. They freaked me out when I was first getting started in SEO too. So, but don't let it overwhelm you.
Yeah.
Overwhelm you.
Nice. I think you might have answered this. He said, Tony said, I've cleaned up all of my errors. Is it worth my time to resolve the warnings and notices too? And what he's talking about is what we're just showing. I exited out, but it was.
So again, it's all like a balance, right? It's, how much are you the only person working on all of your business, including your website, right? Do you have a dedicated VA or person who's helping you with this stuff, right? Because you have to balance the time and effort that you're putting into fixing any of these things versus what other aspects of your business that you could add ROI that way, right?
Yeah.
So if you're the only person working on all of this stuff and you're not super tech savvy, I would focus mostly at the top of the list, clean up all the errors, and then go focus on things like if your website is brand new, making sure that you've got good content, making sure that you've done all the things like personalize and update and add the credibility to that content. That's the kind of stuff where I would put my focus first. And then if you've done all of that stuff, if you're crushing it, if you feel like you have extra time, then I would go through and clean up the warnings and the notices as I have time, as it feels like it makes sense. It kind of depends on what the specific warnings and notices are, like how many of them, right? But I wouldn't get too in the weeds of this technical stuff if there are other opportunities that could pull move the needle more for your overall business.
Right, which is why it's a good thing to keep an eye on some of the KPIs we were talking about earlier. Like, are you generating traffic? Are you generating leads? Are people spending time on the page? If you're doing all those things, those can be your gauge for, okay, how much of this do I need to fix? But yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, Tony. Focus on the errors. Okay, a couple more questions, and then we'll go to the domain overview. Let's see. Maria says, during Google results and metadata search results discussion, this might be a dumb question, but please bear with me. Does this mean that we should update the keywords and content of our page?
So I would say every page of your website needs to be about one specific concept, topic, idea, right? And we usually kind of then drill that down to a specific keyword phrase that we want to focus on. Although we also talk about entities, right? Because we want to make sure that we're thinking about it a little bit more broadly, because we don't want to have two pages with very, very, very similar topics when we could maybe just have it just be one page and focus on one keyword, but have different versions of that keyword through the page. So if you already have a page that is about that one idea and kind of focused on one keyword phrase, if it's getting traffic already, I wouldn't try to change the entire meaning. I wouldn't necessarily change the main keyword that it is focused on. I would make sure that while still keeping that focus on that keyword phrase, that topic, you're also thinking about like human psychology and kind of what we were saying with the example of the bow site, not just focusing purely on the keyword phrase of sell my house fast in Louisville, I think it was, but also what are the other factors that's going to make somebody click through. Like maybe it's that sell my house fast in 48 hours. Maybe it's a guarantee. Maybe it's trying to find a way to differentiate yourself from your competitors that are showing up in the search results to show how you're different as more trustworthy, or, you get a deal done faster. You get it done in 48 hours versus our competition.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think that's in the context of what she was asking. We got a couple more. Jose says, "How do you fix the broken internal links?" He says, "Sorry, not too tech savvy." Jose, never apologize for not being too tech savvy. There's always somebody less tech savvy than you. You'd be surprised how not tech savvy some of us are. How do you fix
So,
broken internal links?
yeah, so internal links. So if it's giving you that error, if you click on the blue link in the site audit, it should give you a list of whatever those pages are. So if you go to whatever the page it said that you have internal link on, look at all of so I don't know if I don't know if we can pull up an example to kind of talk through this a little bit more clearly, but within a page or a blog post, right, just looking at the actual content, usually kind of similar to how these are blue, right? Like usually our links are going to be formatted slightly differently. Often links are going to be in a blue text, sometimes underlined. That's why we usually don't use underlined formatting for anything but links, because they've been standardized in certain ways throughout the web for, multiple decades now, to make sure that everybody using the internet understands that links are links. So if we're looking at that page, go through and see like what are the links showing up on that page, and do all of them, basically just check. I would spot check them, make sure that everything, when you click it, it's working.
Gotcha.
So I think that one thing that might have been popping up, if I remember right, in some of our chat tickets that were coming through this week, there might have been a comment, like an internal link that's like on a comment thing. And I think that our support team was already looking into a possible fix for some of that.
Yeah.
So we just rolled out this feature. There's always going to be things that we're discovering when we roll it out to everybody. So if you're unable to find the broken internal link, and if it's on a blog post, and if there's like a comment box enabled, that might be the thing. So I would check it out from the front end. You can pull up that page as if a user was viewing it, right? Like you don't have to do it in the backend editor, but just like click through every link on the site and make sure that it's going where it's supposed to go. And if there's one that's not going where it's supposed to go, if it's just like in the content of your page, if you're in the editor and you click on that link, you should get kind of a pop-up where you can then edit it and change out the URL, the link, the place that the link will go to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, and it could be, like you mentioned, it could be a blog post comment where somebody's like trying to doing backlinks in a shady way, where they'll just go to somebody's blog and leave a comment and say, "Hey, check us out at soandso.com."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that makes sense. Cameron is asking, also, quick shout out to Cameron at Proper Day. Cameron, you're going through the 30-day challenge. You're crushing it, man. It's really cool to see you engaging in the group and posting your progress in there. So keep it up, man. You're doing some really good work, making some great progress. So shout out to you, man. He said, "Is it just me, but did the meta title length meter disappear?"
I was looking at a website the other day, and where it says if you scroll down to the bottom, it's showing up for me. So if you're not seeing this, I would say pop a message through chat so we can have our engineering team look and make sure that there's not some sort of bug, because I've been looking at things this week and I see the character count popping up there with meta title and meta description. So if that's what you're talking about and you're not seeing it look the same as this, I would say pop something through chat so that we can have our engineering team look at it.
Yeah. Or maybe it might have been on a different tab or something, but yeah. Sweet. Yeah, got a couple of responses. Jose said, "Got it. Thank you. Perfect." Let's see. Maria says, she said, "Thank you. Last time I checked, when I searched for the keyword I set, our website has still appeared in the results, but now it doesn't. So I thought maybe it's necessary to update the keywords and content regularly. SEO is really challenging for me." Yeah, you do. So just to reiterate kind of what you're saying, Mallory, you don't want to try and go after different keywords. So,
I mean, if you already have a page that is optimized around a certain, especially if it's one of the pages that within your Carrot template came sort of pre-optimized for a page, and then you've adjusted it to add your own unique stuff in there, I wouldn't say throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And I wouldn't say just like try to optimize it for a different page. some of the things that you can do depending on if you have our SEO tools. So this is where using things like the search performance feature, the new search performance feature comes in, which is available to all of our members, right? So what we were looking at with the queries report on, thank you. Yeah. So the queries report on this search performance feature, once you hook up your Google Search Console to it, this is available for all of our members. So you could look through here and see, is that keyword phrase showing up anywhere in this list, right? And then it might be the positions. If you had seen it appear in the search results prior, like if you went and searched that keyword phrase in an incognito window and had physically seen it in the search results, and now you're not seeing it, you could look at the position. So generally, this average position, if it's positions 1 through 10, that's going to be the first page of the search results. If it's position, like what was the sell my house fast, position 54 on average, that's just buried super far in the search results. So if it's something like that, there's a lot of factors that can come, but basically it's generally going to be that you've had competition emerge that's now beating you in the search results, right? Or like the sell my house fast we talked about, that's a very competitive national search phrase, right? So that's going to be hard to get to the top. But if it's something like the sell my house fast, your market city, and you've dropped off of page 1, that could be it. We also have, for our SEO tools members, we also have the keyword rank tracker, which is the tool that we just added more keywords that you can track, right? So this is the one where we just rolled out kind of a bonus for our people who have access to this tool. So you can now track, I think it's up to 125 keywords. It used to be
we added
25, now it's
100 more.
125. Track them all. So this, I would say, if there was this keyword that had been appearing, if you weren't already tracking it, this is what I would do, is I would track it here, right? Because here you can see in that first column, the average position. You can see the kind of estimated search volume. And this is pulling in data from a slightly different place than search performance is pulling in data directly from Google Search Console. This pulls in data from SEMrush. So if you see slightly different numbers here, that's why. Don't worry about that. Don't get too caught up in the weeds. Search volume and things like that are just kind of like estimates. So don't get like too focused on that. But this is where you want to track it and see, you know, are we on page 1? Are we at the top of page 1? Like a lot of these, this is Bo's website again, a lot of these are on the top of page 1. They're in position like 2 or 3. So that's doing really good. But if you've dropped off, so some of the things that, if you've had a lot of competition, if you've dropped off the search results, it could be the on-page content. It could be that some of your competition has created better information. They've answered more questions, or they've answered them in a different way. They've made themselves appear more trustworthy. You really kind of have to go and see what is beating you in the search results, because it's going to be different depending on your own market, depending on that specific search phrase, right? Like every topic or search phrase in every market is going to be a little different. And then the other piece is the off-page SEO stuff. So we were talking about the domain overview, if you want to click into domain overview, Brady. But the off-page SEO stuff is another place where once you've done all of the content, right? Like once we've kind of updated our homepage, added blog content, added location pages, kind of done all of that stuff, if you have yet to do things like set up your citation, set up your Google My Business, but also set up lots of other, you know, citations at relevant directories, you know, things like Yelp, depending on if that's relevant for your business. If you're one of our real estate investors or real estate agents, using things like Bigger Pockets, you know, basically making sure that you have little accounts and your website is linked back to from all of those other places. If you have your social media profiles set up where they have a link to your website to kind of associate, right? All of that citation stuff is kind of first when it comes to off-page SEO. And then it's about building quality, relevant backlinks, which is often easier said than done. But we actually just last week, I think you also have this pulled up on your screen, Brady. We just last week posted in our help center a new piece of documentation that hopefully will explain a lot of this stuff and kind of give you a starting place to help you understand the off-page SEO and the basics of backlink building. So I'd say, yeah, pop this in, check this article out. This kind of tells you how to start approaching that stuff, and then you can track that in your domain overview.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I love this visual too, because this is when you're doing on-page and off-page SEO, it's hard to wrap your head around like all the different things you need to keep track of. It's a nice little visual.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to touch on domain overview?
Yeah, so let me answer one question because we often get with this authority score. Okay, so authority
Yeah.
score, this is a metric. This is from SEM Rush 2, if I remember right. So
Yep.
this is authority score is not something that is like a Google number. This is a number that is created to kind of give us an idea of how we are doing in terms of our website's authority in terms of, the whole internet. So this is on a 0 to 100, with 100 being the best. But like 100 is only going to be for giant websites like facebook.com or
Yeah.
something like that, right? So we often get asked what's a good authority score for Carrot members. This 9 is a pretty good authority score actually for a Carrot member. I would say like Carrot members who are really crushing it in terms of backlinks and off-page SEO, that kind of level of good authority score is going to be like high teens to maybe the 20s.
Yeah.
If you're somehow in like a 30 range for backlink profile authority score for a Carrot site, like you are going to be rocking it. You're going to be crushing your competition in search
Yeah.
most likely,
The
right? But
highest
even
one I
this
stumbled
9,
across recently was like I think 23, and I was like, wow, they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot of
Mhm.
work for SEO, and that's really high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be misleading.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of times in marketing, people see certain numbers and they sound really not good if you think on a scale of 0 to 100, but actually in context, like, yeah, a teen, a 20 number is actually really, really good for that authority score.
Yeah. Sweet. We have one question, then we'll wrap it up. Tony was asking if there was a known issue for linking search performance to our websites. I think, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking about integrating Google Analytics. I haven't I haven't
For the
heard of
Google
other
Search Console.
or yeah, sorry, Google Search Console, not analytics. I haven't heard of other people having issues with this. I don't
I think
think,
that
but
we just I think that we updated one of our help center documentations earlier today. We've updated some things with our domain settings too recently. So we're suggesting that people use the domain, link it to your domain. So basically, I'll find the help center article and pop it over so we can drop it in the chat for y'all. But I think that our team has been working on getting that resolved with everybody that's been having issues with it, because we had to update some of our documentation to make it easier for y'all to do that.
yeah,
Always bring those to us through chat because our engineering team is like on it. They're getting these things resolved. So definitely make sure we know about it. But yeah, I think we've been clearing all of that up. So let us know if you're still having issues with it, but we've been working on getting all that stuff resolved as we roll out this new
sweet,
feature.
nice. Well, cool. That was a packed one. We went over a lot in this one. I feel good about that. Yeah, thanks everybody for popping in. That's a wrap for today. Next week, what are we doing next week? Do you know? Do you know, Braden? I'm the one that should know. No, we're going over something cool next week. The week after that, we're doing what to do when your rankings drop for SEO. But Trevor's going to be back with us next week. It'll be a good episode. But yeah, if you have any other questions, if there's anything that we didn't get to, still put it in there. We're active in the Facebook group. We'll help you out. So I appreciate you all hopping on, and we'll see you at 11 o'clock next week. Thanks, everybody.